Hello everyone. Welcome back to the course of Software Architecture and Design Patterns. This video is brought to you by Newton's Group of Institutions in association with Redefined Solutions. This is Arvind Egireddy from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. And in this video, we are going to discuss about the designing the architecture with styles. Coming to the architecture in the life cycle, any organization that embraces architecture as a foundation for its software development process needs to understand its place in the life cycle. Several life cycle models exist in the literature, but one that puts the architecture exactly in the middle of these things is the evolutionary delivery life cycle model. The intent of this model is to get users and customers feedback and iterate through several releases before the final release. The model also allows the adding of functionality with each iteration and the delivery of the limited versions once a sufficient set of features has been developed. Coming to when can we begin the design? So a life cycle model shows the design of the architecture as iterating with preliminary requirement analysis. Clearly, we cannot begin the design until we have some idea of the system requirements. On the other hand, it does not take any requirements in order for the design to begin. So, an architecture is shaped by some collection of functional, quality, and business requirements. And we can call these shaping requirements as architectural drivers. So, to determine the architectural drivers, we identify the highest priority business goals. So, there should be relatively few of these which turn these business goals into quality scenarios or the use cases. From this list, we need to choose the ones that will have the most impact on the architecture, and there are the architectural drivers and there should be fewer than 10. So the architecture trade-off, the analysis model uses the utility tree to help to turn the business drivers into quality scenarios. Once the architecture drivers are known, the architecture design can begin. So the requirement analysis process will then be influenced by questions generated during the architectural design. Coming to designing the architecture. In this video, we describe a method for designing an architecture to satisfy both quality requirements and the functional requirements. So we call this method as attribute driven design, ADD. So here, ADD takes as input a set of quality attribute scenarios and employs knowledge about the relationship between the quality attributes achievement and architecture in order to design the architecture. The ADD method can be viewed as an extension to most of the other development methods such as rational unified process. So here, this rational unified process has several steps that result in high level design of an architecture, but then proceeds to detailed design and implementation. So here it incorporates ADD into it, involves modifying the steps dealing with the high level design of the architecture and then follow the process as described by rational. So here coming to the attribute driven design, that is ADD. So here ADD is an approach to design a software architecture that bases the decomposition process on the quality attributes the software has to fulfill. So here it is a recursive decomposition process where at each stage tactics and the architectural patterns are chosen to satisfy a set of quality scenarios, and then functionality is allocated to initiate the modular type provided by the pattern. ADD is positioned in the life cycle after the requirement analysis, and we have said can begin when the architecture drivers are known with some confidence. So here the output of add is the first several levels of the module decomposition view of an architecture and other views as appropriate. So not all details of the views result from an application of add. The system is described as a set of constraints for functionality and the interactions among them. So this is the first articulation of architecture during the design process, and it is therefore necessarily courage gained. So there are a number of different design processes that could be created using the general scenarios and the tactics and the patterns. So each process here assumes different things about how to chunk the design work and about the essence of the design process. So we discuss add some detail to illustrate how we are applying the general scenarios and tactics, and hence how we are chunking the work and what we believe in the essence of the design process. And here we demonstrate the add method by using it to design a product line architecture for a Grange door open with an home information system. So here the opener is responsible for raising as well as and lowering the door via a switch or a remote control or a home information system. So it is also possible to diagnose the problems with the opener from within the home information system. Coming to the sample input. So here the input to add is a set of requirements. So add assumes the functional requirements typically expressed as use cases and constraints as input, as do other design methods. So here, however, in add we differ from those methods in our treatment of quality requirements. So here add mandates the quality requirements be expressed as set of system specific quality scenarios. Here when I say the system specific scenarios, they should be defined in the detail as necessary for the application. So in our examples we omit several portions of a fully fleshed scenarios, since these positions do not contribute to the design process. So for our garage door example, the quality scenarios includes the following, that is the device and control for opening and closing the door are different for the various products in the product line as already mentioned, and they may include controls for within a home information system, and the product architecture for a specific set of controls should be directly derivable from the product line architecture. So the process used in different products will differ, and the product architecture for each specific process should be directly derivable for the product line architecture. So if an obstacle is detected by the garage door during the descent, it must halt within 0.1 seconds. So here the garage door opener should be accessible for the diagnosis, and the administration from within the home information should use a product specific diagnosis protocol. It should be possible to directly produce an architecture that reflects this particular protocol. Coming to beginning add, we have already introduced the architectural drivers. So here add depends on the identification of the drivers and can start as soon as all of them are known. So during the design, the determination of which architecture drivers are the key may change either as a result of better understanding of the requirements or as a result of changing requirements. So here still the process can begin when the driver requirements are known with some assumptions. So in the following video, we discuss add itself. So coming to add steps. Here we begin by briefly presenting the steps performed when designing an architecture using the add method. So here we will then discuss the steps in more detail. Now let us see the step 1. In the step 1, we need to choose the module to decompose. So here the module to start with is usually a whole system. So all requirement inputs for this module should be available, like the requirements could be constraints, functional requirements, quality requirements, so on. So here in the second step, we need to refine the module according to these steps. So we need to choose the architecture drivers from the set of concrete quality scenarios and functional requirements. So this step determines what is important for this decomposition. Then we need to choose an architectural pattern that satisfies the architectural drivers. We need to create the pattern based on the tactics that can be used to achieve the drivers, and we need to identify child modules which are required to implement these tactics. After that, instantaneous modules are allocated functionally from the use cases and represent using multiple views. Then we need to define the interface of the child module. So here the decomposition provides modules and constraints on the type of the module interactions. Document this information in the interface document for each module. Then we need to verify and refine use cases and quality scenarios and make them constraints for a child module. So here this step verifies that nothing important was forgotten and prepare the child modules for further decomposition or implementation. So then in the third step, we need to repeat the steps above for every module that needs further decomposition. Now, coming to the first one, that is choose the module to decompose. So here the following are the modules that systems, subsystems or submodules. The decomposition typically start with the system, which is then decomposed into subsystems, which is further decomposed into submodules. So in our example, the garbage door opener is the system. One constraint at this level is that the opener must interoperate within the home information system. Now we need to choose the architectural drivers. So as we said, architectural drivers are the combination of functional and quality requirements that shape the architecture or a particular module under the consideration. So here these drivers will be found among the top priority requirements of the module. So we also see the requirements that online diagnosis be supported. So all of these requirements must be addressed in the initial decomposition of the system. So here the determination of the architectural drivers is not always a top-down process. Sometimes detailed investigation is required to understand the ramification of a particular requirements. For example, to determine if performance is an issue for a particular system configuration, a prototype implementation of a piece of system may be required. So here we will base our decomposition of module on the architectural drivers. So here other requirements apply to that module, but by choosing the drivers, we are reducing the problem to satisfy the most important ones. So here we don't treat all of the requirements as equal. The less important requirements are satisfied within the constraints of the most important. Understood? So this is a significant difference between AD and other architectural design methods. So here we do not treat all the requirements as equal. That is the main important requirement that is being satisfied by AD. So here coming to 2B, we need to choose an architectural pattern. So here in choosing for each quality, there are identifiable tactics that can be used in an architecture to design and to achieve a specific quality. So here each tactic is designed to realize more and more quality attributes, but the patterns in which they are embedded have an impact on the quality attributes. So here in an architectural design, a composition of many such tactics is used to achieve a balance between the required multiple qualities. So here achievement of these qualities and functional requirements is analyzed during the refinement step. So here the goal of this step 2B is to establish an overall architectural pattern consisting of module types, and the pattern satisfies the architectural drivers and and is constructed by composing the selected tactics. So here the two main factors which guide the tactics are, the first is the drivers themselves and the second is the side effect that the pattern implementing a tactics has an other qualities. So here for example, a classical tactic to achieve modifiability is to use of an interpreter. So here adding an interpreter specification language to a system simplifies the creation of the new functions or the modification of the existing ones. So here macro recording and execution is an example of an interpreter, and HTML is an interpreted language that specifies the look and feel of the web pages. So here an interpreter is an excellent technique for achieving the modifiability at runtime, but it has a strong negative influence on performance. So the decision to use one depends on the relative importance of modifiability versus performance. So here a decision may be made to use an interpreter for an portion of the overall pattern and to use other tactics for other portions. So we choose an example of each, increase computational efficiency and choose scheduling policy. So this yields the following tactics. One is semantic coherence and information hiding. So here separate responsibilities dealing with the user interfaces, communication and scenarios into their own modules. So here we call these modules virtual machines, and we expect that all three are to vary because they are differing products that will be delivered from the architecture. So we need to separate the responsibilities associated with the diagnosis as well. So here in the second, we need to increase the computational efficiency. So here the performance critical computation should be made as efficient as possible. In the third, we need to schedule the WSLI. So here the performance critical computation should be scheduled to ensure the achievements of the timing deadlines. Now coming to instantiate modules and allocate functionality using multiple views. So in the previous video of part 5, we have discussed how the quality architectural drivers determine the decomposition structure of the module via the use of tactics. As a matter of fact, in this video 6, we defined the module type of the decomposition step. We now show how those module types will be instantaneate. So here, instantaneate modules, what we do is we define a non-performance critical computation running on the top of the virtual machine that manages the communication and scenario interactions. The software running on the top of the virtual machine is typically an application. In a concrete system, we will normally have more than one module. So there will be one for each group of functionality, and these will be instances of the type shown in the pattern. So our creation for allocating functionality is similar to that used in the functionality based design methods such as object oriented design methods. So for our example, when we allocate the corresponding responsibility for managing the obstacles detection and halting the garbage door to the performance critical section, since this functionality has a deadline. So The management of the normal rising and lowering of the door has no timing deadline, and so we treat it as an non-performance critical section. Now coming to allocate functionality. So here in allocating the functionality, we apply the use cases that pertain to the pattern modules that help the architect again a more detailed understanding of the distribution of the functionality. So this also may lead to adding or removing the chain modules to fulfill all the functionality required. So at the end, every use case of the parent module must be represented by a sequence of responsibilities within the child module. Then assigning responsibilities to the children is a decomposition, which also leads to the discovery of necessary information exchange. So this creates a producer-consumer relationship between those modules which need to be recorded. At this point in the design, it is not important to define how the information is exchanged. So here we need to see, is the information pushed or pulled? It is based as a message or call manager. So these are all the questions that need to be answered later in the design process. At this point, only the information itself and the procedure and producer and the consumer roles are to be our interest. So this is an example of the type of the information which left unresolved by add and resolved during the detailed design. So some tactics which introduce specific patterns of interactions between the module types. So here a tactic using an intermediary of the type public subscribe. For example, we'll introduce a pattern published for one of the modules and the pattern subscribe for the other. So here these patterns of interaction should be recorded since they translate into responsibilities for the affected modules. Now coming to the to see in instantate modules and allocate functionality using multiple views. So here to represent the architecture with views, we introduce a number of distinct architectural views. So in our experience with add one view from each of these three major groups of views, that is module decomposition, concurrency and deployment, have been sufficient to begin with. So the method itself does not depend on the particular view chosen, and if there is a need to show other aspects such as runtime objects, additional views can be introduced. So we now bring discussion how add uses these three common views. So here first one is module decomposition view. So our discussion above shows how the module decomposition view provides constraints for holding the responsibilities as they are discovered. So here the major data flow relationship among the modules are also identified through this particular view. And second is concurrency view. So in the concurrency view, the dynamic aspects of the system such as parallel activities and synchronization can be modeled. So here the modeling helps to identify the resource condition problems, and here the possible deadlock situation, data consistency issues and so forth. So modeling the concurrency is a system likely which leads to the discovery of few responsibilities of the modules which are recorded in the module V. So it can also lead to the discovery of new modules such as resource manager in order to solve the issues of concurrent access to a scary resource and the like. So here the concurrency view is one of the component and connector view, and the components are the instances of the module in the module decomposition view, and the connectors are the carriers of the virtual threads. So here a virtual thread describes an execution path through the system or part of it. So there should not be any confusion with the operating system's threads. or processors, which implies other properties like memory or processor allocation. Now coming to the third one, that is the two users defining the similar things at the same time. So here, to understand the concurrency in a system, we need to understand the following use cases as illuminating. That is, two users doing similar things at the same time. So here, this helps in recognizing the resource content or data integrity problems. And the second one is one user performing multiple activity simulations. So this helps to uncover data exchange and the activity control problems. And the third one is starting up the system. So this gives a good overview of the permanent running activities in the system and how to initialize them. And it also helps in deciding on an initialization strategy, such as everything in parallel or everything in sequence or any other model. Now, the fourth one is shutting down the system. So here, this helps to uncover the issues of the cleaning up, such as achieving and saving the consistent system state. So, and the fifth one is development view. So here, if the multiple processors are specifying hardware is used in a system, additional responsibilities may arise from the development to the hardware. So here, using development view helps to determine the design and development the support, achieving the decomposition into the virtual threads. So within a particular process and the message that travel between the processor to initiate the next entry in the sequence of actions. So the development view also helps in deciding if multiple instances of the sum of the modules are needed for example, a reliability requirement may force us to duplicate certain functionality on different processors. Here, a development view also supports reasoning about the use of special purpose hardware. The derivation of the development view is an arbitrary, as with the modules decomposition and concurrency views. The architecture drivers help to determine the allocation of the components to the hardware. So here, tactics such as replication offers a means to achieve high performance or reliability by developing the replicas on different processors. So here, other tactics such as real-time scheduling mechanism actually prohibit the development of different processors. So here, the functional considerations usually guide the development of the part that are not predetermined by the selected tactics. So you can understand this, that here the crossing of the virtual thread from one processor to another generates responsibilities from the different modules. So that it indicates a communication requirement between the processors. And here some modules must be responsible for managing the communication, and these modules must be recorded in the module decomposition view. So here, next, we need to define interfaces of the child module. So here, defining the interfaces and the child module for the purpose of add an interface of the module shows the services of and the properties that is being provided and required. So this is different from the signature. So it documents what others can use and what they can depend. So analysis and documenting the decomposition in terms of structure, dynamics, and runtime uncovers the interaction assumptions for the child modules, which should be decomposed in this interface. So here the module views documents as producer consumer of information or patterns of interactions that require modules to provide the services to use them. And the concurrency view documents here acts as interactions among the threads that lead to the interface of a module providing a using a service, or the information that a component is active, or the information that a component synchronizes, sequentializes, and perhaps block calls. So here the development view documents. So this has the hardware requirements such as special purpose hardware. Sometimes requirements such as the computation speed of the processor has to be at least 10 MIPS. And the communication requirements such as that information should not be updated more than once for every second. So all the information should be available in the module interface documentation. Now, verifying and refining use cases and quality scenarios as constraints for the child modules. So here, verify and refining the use case of quality scenarios as constraints for the child modules. Here, these steps enumerated thus far amount of the proposed for module decomposition. So this decomposition must be verified and the child modules must be prepared for their own decomposition. The first one is functional requirements. So here each child module has a responsibility that derives partially from the considering decomposition of functional requirements. So here those responsibilities can be translated into use cases for the module, and another way we define the use cases is to split and refine the parent use cases. For example, a use case that initializes the whole system is broken into initialization of the subsystems. This approach has a traceability because an analyst can follow the refinement. So here the responsibilities are decomposed into the following functional groups corresponding to the modules. One is the user interface, which recognizes user's request and translate them into the form expected by the raising or lowering door module. And the second one is raising or lowering door module, which controls the actuator to raise the low or low the door. So stop the door when it reaches either fully or open or fully closed. And third one is obstacle detection. So this recognizes when the obstacle is detected and either stop the descent of the door or reverse it. Next, fourth one is communication virtual machine, which manages all communication within the home information system. Fifth one is scenario or actuator virtual machine, which manages all the interactions within the scenario and actuators. Sixth one is scheduler, which guarantees that the obstacle detector will meet its deadlines. And last one, that is seventh one, diagnosis. So here this manage the interactions with home information system devoted to diagnosis. And the second one is constraints. Here constraints of the parents module can be satisfied in one of the following ways. One is the decomposition that satisfies the constraints, or the second one is the constraint is satisfied by single child module, or third one is the constraint is satisfied by multiple child modules. Coming to the third one, that is quality scenarios. Here quality scenarios also have to be refined and assigned with the child modules. So here a quality scenario may be completely satisfied by the decomposition without any additional impact. So it can then be marked as satisfied. And a quality scenario may be satisfied by the current decomposition with the constraints on child modules, or the decomposition may be neutral with respect to the quality scenarios, or a quality scenario may not be satisfiable with the current development. If it is an important one, then the decomposition should be recognized. Otherwise, the decomposition is not supporting the scenario must be recorded. So that is the decomposition that is not satisfying the scenario need to be satisfied. That's all for now. Thank you all. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for the latest notifications. Thank you all.